Bro, those TTI combats sold out like hotcakes, man. I've been seeing the prices creeping up too, like
Hmm.
1400, bro. Nobody's gonna pay 1400 for a Canik. Like I'd rather wait for that. Like I'm interested in that gun too, actually, but I
Hmm.
am not dropping 1400 on a Canik. I'm sorry. I don't care if TTI's name is stamped to it. It's just
Yeah,
it's a Canik, bro. I feel like Canik is the CZ that you have at home. I mean, I don't hate
stop.
Canik, but I love Caniks. I love Caniks, bro. But I don't know.
Yeah, it's I would say it's probably closer to Walther, the Walther we got at
Oh
home.
yeah,
But no, no, no. You're right. You probably shouldn't pay $1,400 for a Canik Mete Pro. That's pretty much what it is with a comp on it, with a special paint job, with enhanced grip because of the texturing and the fluted barrel or whatever. Like you don't have to do that. You should probably wait for it to be the price that it's supposed to be. $1,000, maybe
yeah.
1,050. Like, okay, you paid $100 more than you should have,
I
but
say 1,000 is decent for a Terran Tactical Canik collaboration,
mhm.
but nothing above that. I mean, Caniks are nice guns, but I'm not gonna pay that much for one. I mean, I
Right.
recently shot a Rival S at a range, and I really liked it. It
Oh
felt really
man, those
great.
rifle licenses are nice, bro.
Yeah, and the triggers are nice too. Or
The trigger?
the TP9 SFX.
Hmm.
That's a nice one too.
Yeah, I didn't like the TP9 series as much. Like there are some that are pretty good. I shot one that was maybe a little bit. The barrel was a little bit too long, and I felt like I really couldn't control it the way I want to. Like it was just a little bit
Mm.
too flippy. Like it needed something added on to make it better. But for the price point of where they were always at with the TP9s, it's like okay, well you can make it better. Just
I
just
mean, you're right about that. There's nothing worse than a full size gun that still feels very flippy. I mean, I
yeah.
have a friend who says that about full size Walther PDPs. He says for a full size gun, they're actually pretty bouncy. You know, I was
They
actually
they they
surprised.
do bounce. Now, everything about them is nice except they bounce. Now, if you go into like the full steel frame, I don't think you still have those issues. But then you run into other issues of like, hey, you got to really maintain uh, uh, the lubrication. I wanted
Mhm.
to say lubricity, but that's not. I don't think that's the right word. You got to really make sure those are lubricated or they slow down. Somebody said, and it's been said, like, hey, get the PDP or whatever, change the springs, and then you're good because the internal springs are what kind of creates a lot of the snap. Generally, you can
Yeah,
do
I've
other
heard about
things.
that as well, specifically for the full sizes, but I haven't really heard much about the compacts. I heard the compacts are more balanced.
Well, I've I know you shoot the 19X. When I got my
Hmm.
Glock 45, before I put the light on it, before I put the optic on it, I felt like it was the most balanced handgun I've ever shot in my life. Like I could shoot that thing so flat out the
Really?
box. Yeah. Then you start adding lights to it and it kind of changes the balance a little bit. Although if you focus, you can really, get it to shoot the way it's supposed to. But at that point, it's like, ooh, should I add a radiant ramjet to it? Maybe, but it's up
Hmm.
to you. It's up to you.
Yeah.
Changing parts is a question mark. I know you have no problem changing parts out, but some people they're like, oh, I want my guns to be as stock as possible just in case something happens. And how do you feel about that? Obviously, you're okay with it, but have you ever thought like, dang, like if this gun ever got taken into evidence, what are they going to say?
I really just think it depends on where you live at, really.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, here in Wisconsin, that's where I live. There's not really any restrictions on handguns. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you can put anything you want on your guns over here. It's not really an issue where I live, but I think
Well,
it's
do you
just
feel
a
like a
matter.
prosecutor might try to be like, hey, this guy, this dreadlocked young man out here is looking for a fight. He called his gun peanut butter, and clearly look at it. It's dangerous. You feel like some bleeding heart prosecutor who wants to nail you to a cross. You know, do you feel like that could happen, or is that just like nah, not here?
I mean, it could be a potential. I mean, like, that's a prosecutor's job. They're always trying to look for ammunition. You know, they're not
Right.
really. they're trying to get you in jail. They're not trying to keep you out of jail. So
That's what they
yeah,
do. That's what they
yeah,
do.
they do. It's their job.
Yeah.
I mean, some drag it, but yeah, I mean, there's a chance of that.
But
Could be.
I don't know. I think it is a little bit different if you have an online presence and you establish yourself as a peaceful, loving person who happens to have guns versus kind of the opposite where nobody knew you had any guns at all. And then all of a sudden something weird happens and it's like, oh, he look at him. He had 5 guns at home. Wow.
People's perception of you matters too. I mean, like
Mm-hmm.
mannerisms, like really count.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah, I
I
mean, the way
mean,
you present too.
I feel like you present well. Like like I felt very respected the entire time we've talked, and that's not even a question, right? Because you've always been cool, with me, and it's like I'm just gonna assume that everybody who meets you, if they don't like you, they're just a hater. I'm just gonna assume that.
Yeah, mostly. I mean, I don't know. I'm just a very honest person. Sometimes they might not like what I say. Sometimes, I mean, or I'll try to correct them and they get defensive or block me on
True.
Instagram. That's happened to me a couple times, but
Are we talking about like gun stuff? Like, hey, bro, you should fix this, or are we talking about like
yeah, like
other stuff?
yeah, like gun stuff, yeah, gun stuff. I've had some creators probably get mad at me for like how I'm not gonna say who, but there was this guy who didn't even knew what AR stood for in AR-15. He thought it meant Armalite, but I mean, he thought it meant assault rifle, but it really means like Armalite rifle.
Right.
Like
Yeah. I mean that's the true definition of AR-15. If you don't know that, I mean, it's fine not to know, but don't speak on things and then pretend like you know, and then it's like, oh, bro, we've got like 2 minutes. Is there anything you wanted to share real quick before we head out?
I don't really have anything. I mean, I think we really covered on everything that.
I feel like we covered most things. But once again, if you could just let people know where to find you, and then we'll sign out. Let people know where they can support and whatnot. Let me give you the screen.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, PZ or PJ. Just no spaces. I mean, on my channel, it's the same PZ or PJ, Peezy.